Scratching can sound amazing in any DJ set when it's done right. But in the comments section to my last video about scratching mistakes to avoid, loads of you said that you were struggling with things like timing, knowing how much to scratch, hand control, and even picking the right sounds to scratch with. So I've taken all of your biggest pain points and I've turned them into this video. And I'm going to show you exactly how to fix them. So this is actually the third video that I've made on scratching mistakes to avoid. And this time I didn't just come up with the list myself. I went through all of the comments on the last video, picked out the things that you said you're struggling with the most, and I've built this video around that. So whether it's timing and coordination, using the right samples, or just doing way too much, I'm going to break each one down, demo the fix, and show you how to get your scratches sounding smoother right away. And the first issue that you guys are having problems with is timing and coordination. A lot of you are saying that it's difficult to get your record hand and your fader hand working in sync with each other, and this is totally normal at first. Everyone who first learns to scratch struggles with this. It's like learning to play the drums. You've got to do one thing with one hand and something completely different with the other. But there is a barrier that you will break through with enough practice. And honestly, if you knuckle down with your practice, you'll get there way quicker than you think. There is a scratch technique called the drop scratch, which is one of the first scratch techniques that you will learn on your scratching journey. And it sounds like this. So for the drop scratch, we begin with the fader open and then we let the sound play. And then we put our hand around the 1 or 2 o'clock position to stop the sound, and then we close the fader. And then we bring the sound back to the start. And now what we do is we open the fader and we repeat the process. And then you can speed it up. And by the way, if you would like to download these exact scratch samples that I'm using in this video, then just hit the link in the description, type in your email, and I'll send them to your inbox for free. So as you can see, your fader hand and your record hand are doing two completely different things. So this does trip people up when they first start learning it. And that's why this is the perfect one to drill. If you're struggling with this, just slow it down. Slowing it right down will lock in the timing. I see so many DJs learning to scratch and they want to run before they can walk. If you're struggling with hand coordination, then just practice this scratch nice and slow. Remember to turn the fader off before you start bringing the sound back. Fader off, bring the sound back. Fader off, then bring the sound back. Just drill this nice and slow. And this is going to improve your timing. And it will put you in a really good position to start mastering the faster scratches. As I said a moment ago, don't try and run before you can walk. It's really important to get the timing and coordination down consistently, nice and slow, and then you can start building up the speed. Okay, problem number 2 is scratching too much and not quite knowing when to add your scratches and when to stop scratching in your DJ sets. For me, this is a really important one. When I'm practicing scratching or just doing some freestyle scratching, I like to leave gaps of silence throughout my practice. Let me put on an instrumental and I'll start freestyling and I'll show you what I mean. Silence. It's so tempting to just scratch constantly. Which sounds fine, but I like to leave gaps, bits of silence. This works really well just for freestyle practice, but it's especially important if you're actually DJing at a club. In a club set, if you're just continuously scratching with no breaks, this will get tiring for the audience, so it's really important to not overdo it. Now, if you want to learn scratching in depth and with proper guidance, that's exactly what I teach inside my Ultimate Scratching course. I break down every single technique step by step, and I even give you scratch beats to practice with so that you can drill all of the techniques in the right way. On top of that, I even teach different patterns for each technique so that your scratches don't end up sounding samey or repetitive. If you're serious about really leveling up your scratching, then feel free to check out the link in the description to my ultimate scratching course. Issue number 3 that you guys have been struggling with is ambidexterity. Now, to be completely honest with you, I am not a believer that you have to scratch to a high level with both hands. If you take a look at the best scratch DJs in the world, D-Styles, Toadstyle, Qbert, those guys, they all scratch mostly with their stronger hand. There's nothing wrong with this at all. But having said that, I do think it's important to be able to pull off some basic scratches at the very least on your weaker side. So my strong side is with my left hand on the record and my right hand on the fader. Now, I'm actually right-handed, and this sometimes confuses people when they hear that. But actually, I believe that your stronger hand should be on the crossfader. Now, there are some people out there that disagree with this, and there are advantages to keeping your stronger hand on the record. It usually means that you can move the record in a more technical and fluent way, but there is the massive drawback of having to use the crossfader with your weak hand, and this can be really difficult. It's usually fine with the basic scratches, but when it comes to crabs and orbits and flares and boomerangs, then it becomes really difficult to use your weaker hand on the crossfader. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on an instrumental on the left side, and I'm going to show you the scratches that I've learned on my weaker side. And these are the scratches that I would recommend at a very minimum learning how to do on your weaker side. So these are the chirps that I've got on my weak side. Obviously I've got fast baby scratches. And I can also do some basic stuff with the crossfader. So I can do drop scratches, obviously. To be honest with you, the only time that I'm ever going to scratch on my weaker side is when I'm performing in a club. And when you're DJing in a club, being able to perform basic scratches quickly and cleanly is actually a really handy thing. So in a club set, I would use my fast baby scratches. And I'd also use my chirp scratches. Anything more technical than that, if I am going to perform it in a club, I'll just do it on my strong side. Left hand on the record, right hand on the fader. If I'm being honest, I think some people overthink this. They think, why would I not spend my time becoming as good on one side as the other side? But honestly, this is flawed thinking. There are only a few DJs out there who are just as good on both hands. Craze is one of them, Prime Cuts from the Scratch Perverts. But my honest opinion is that that time is better spent getting better on your strong side. Because any time that you're actually going to perform scratching, you're not going to be switching between the decks. You're going to stay on your stronger side, just like Qbert does, just like D-Styles does. So don't overthink this one, but do spend a bit of time getting the basics down on your weaker side. Something else that was mentioned in the comments is the choice of scratch sample that you use for each technique. Now this one is really important because there are certain sounds that do not work very well with certain scratch techniques. So let's take the transformer, for example. If I was to use a very short sound to perform the transformer scratch, it just isn't going to work as well. You can just about make it work, but it won't sound as good as if you were to use a longer sound like this one. So the transformer scratch will definitely work better with a longer sound, as will scratches like crabs and orbits. Techniques like this require a longer sound, but short sounds still have their place as well. Short sound will work best with stabs, baby scratches, drop scratches, chirp scratches. So picking the right sound for your scratch technique is very important. And in fact, on my free scratch sample tool, I have provided different lengths of scratch samples so that you always have the perfect sound to scratch with. And finally, the last thing that you guys have been struggling with is how to keep your hand nice and relaxed on the jog wheel. And this one is super important. If you scratch with a stiff hand on the jog wheel, you're not going to be able to get the control and the dexterity that you need over the scratch sound, because we don't just need to simply pull the sound back and push the sound forward. We need to be able to push it forward fast or slow and anything in between, and also the same on the reverse. So let's take this longer sample here. If I was just to perform a simple baby scratch, but do it with a very stiff hand on the jog wheel, you can hear it's quite rigid and it's quite stiff. We need this to be nice and relaxed. And to do that, we need a relaxed hand. Now, I've mentioned this one in a previous video, but it is super important to learn. So I'm going to go over it again. So here is a drill to help you out with keeping your hand nice and relaxed on the jog wheel. Take sample number 4 on my free scratch tool. Let the sound play. Then put your hand on the jog wheel and bring the sound back as slowly as you can. And try and bring it back at the same speed all the way round. This forces you to keep your hand nice and relaxed so that you keep control over the speed of the jog wheel. So let's try this a few times. Now let's do the same thing again, but we're going to let the sound play out for less time. You need a really light touch to get this one right, so drilling this is perfect for helping you loosen up that hand. You could even switch to the other hand. One of the reasons that having a relaxed hand is important is because you need to be able to move your hand quick, followed by slow for certain scratch techniques. So right now I'm going to perform a drag scratch on the forward, and I'm going to bring the sound back quickly whilst performing a crab. This is an example of a scratch combo that requires you to have full control over the jog wheel. And again, to have full control over the jog wheel, your hand needs to be super relaxed. If this is something that you're struggling with, just drill these techniques that I've just shown you over and over again, and you will see improvements in no time. Following my advice in this video will fix these mistakes, and your scratching will instantly sound cleaner, more confident, and way more musical. And remember, it's not about doing everything at once. It's about control, rhythm, and making the scratching fit the music. Now, if you want more ways to level up your cuts, I've got a playlist right here packed with tutorials that will take your scratching even further. So make sure you check it out.